This video is explaining the learning journals that we have as part of the OneFile system whilst completing qualifications with us here at Aspire Education Academy. There are a range of learning journals you may be asked to do. Some of these are mandatory and some are extras. Today I am going to go over the mandatory learning journal reflections, or the ones that you will most commonly see, as well as how to complete your learning journal and access that as well. So the first learning journal we're going to go over is the absence learning journal. So as part of your enrolment and the induction, it would have been explained to you that you have to complete a certain number of guided learning hours to successfully complete your qualification. And this is why we express the importance of achieving 100% attendance whilst doing the qualifications. However, we know that sometimes life gets in the way and there are times you may need to be absent from a session. This is okay as long as it is communicated with your tutor. However, you do have to do the extra work of catching up on the session that you missed. This is so that you evidence the guided learning hours that you have missed, that you have caught up with them, to make sure that you are compliant and on track to complete by the end of your qualification. Your tutor will set this absence learning journal reflection for you, and this will come up in your taskbar on OneFile. When you click on this task, you can see on the screen you have the learner instructions, which lists 4 questions that you must answer as part of the learning journal reflection. It's important that you answer these questions because we need to know the details for you to be able to evidence catching up on those guided learning hours. As you can see, the first question is asking you which lesson you missed and what you have done to catch up with your learning. This is where you must say that you have watched the recording back. You cannot evidence that you have caught up with your guided learning hours without watching the recording. The second learning journal that you'll see quite frequently is a weekly learning journal task, and this will be set for you by the end of the week. So sometimes at the end of the day on a Thursday or on a Friday, depending on what works for your tutor and your cohort. Again, you will be set this task on OneFile, and this will show in your tasks. Your tutor will let you know when they have set this. As you can see, this learning journal is an opportunity for you to reflect on the week of your learning and knowledge and what you have done over that week. And this is why we set this learning journal and expect this to be completed by the end of the week. With this one, there is flexibility and freedom in what you reflect on. I know sometimes this can be quite difficult, so as you can see at the bottom of the learner instructions, there are a range of questions to help you think about what you want to write and what you reflect on. However, you do not need to use these questions. It is an opportunity for you to reflect on anything you feel needs to be reflected on within that week. Your tutor also may give you certain questions to answer within that week as well, so it is important that you follow your tutor's instruction in terms of this weekly learning journal. Again, as well as the absence learning journal task, this weekly learning journal task is mandatory. The final learning journal task that you may see come up in your taskbar on OneFile is BKSB. Now you can see there's a range of different named tasks that may be set, and this will be dependent on what your tutor decides to set. But this is just an opportunity for you to reflect on the work you have done that week on BKSB. Talk about how you have worked towards your targets, what work you have done, and what you feel you need to do next as well. This doesn't need to be too detailed, it just evidences that you have completed your work on BKSB, which we will cross-reference with the reports that we run on BKSB too. There is an expectation that learners complete at least 20 minutes a week on BKSB, so please make sure that you follow this. You may be set other learning journal tasks throughout your time on your qualification, but as always, your tutor will explain these to you and make sure that you clearly understand what you need to do. So now I'm going to go over how to complete the Learning Journal. So when you access the Learning Journal tasks through your task box on OneFile, you will see your learning instructions at the top. You need to scroll down and then you will see the empty Learning Journal template for you to fill out. You can access all of your Learning Journal reflections that you have done by going down the grey bar on the left-hand side and clicking on Learning Journal. So you have 3 tabs for each Learning Journal entry, and when you have lots of them, they will all show up on this one page, and you will be able to scroll down and go through all of your Learning Journals that you've completed. When you come to complete your Learning Journal, you need to give it a title. Sometimes the tasks may give it a title automatically. If it doesn't, just write the title linked to the task that you do, such as BKSB reflection, weekly learning journal reflection, or absence learning journal reflection. You also need to select a category. Most of them will be reflection, but you may be set an extension activity to do, and so on. Then in this box here, this is where you type your reflection. So you can type whatever you like here, like I said, as long as you're answering those questions or making sure you are following those learner instructions that you have been set within that task that you are completing. However, please note that there is a word count limit with this. So if you feel like you are going to write a lot within your reflection, we always advise that you write your reflection on a Word document, save it on your computer, and then you can attach that file here by clicking on Choose File and selecting the file that links with that learning journal. Once you have written your reflection, you will be able to go on to the Timesheets tab here. You cannot fill out this Timesheets tab. It will not let you fill it out until you have written something within your reflection. Even if you attach your reflection through the Choose File attachment here, you need to write something in this box. So I would just write, please find reflection attached. On the timesheet, this is really important because this is where you log how long the learning journal has taken you to complete. This is specifically important for the absence learning journal that you do. Again, this ensures that you evidence those guided learning hours that you have caught up correctly. So it will automatically transfer your title and category that you selected on the previous tab. You need to select the date that you completed the learning journal reflection on. You need to do the start time, and then you need to do the end time as well. I'm just going to do a random. And look, it will come up with the duration that it took for you to complete that. Once you've selected your start and end times, make sure that duration meets the time that you have spent on the learning journal, especially when you are catching up on a session that you've missed. You need to make sure that that duration makes up the time that you missed. When you're happy with your timesheet, you need to click on Create Timesheet, and then that will save it on there. And then once you have completed the journal and the timesheet part to your learning journal, you click Create in the bottom right-hand corner here, and it will post it on to your screen so that then you have all your learning journals all in one place. Thank you for listening. I hope you have found this video beneficial and helpful in how to complete your learning journals whilst with us at Aspire.